Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of Clemson Postgame Live right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for joining me. I got a lot to talk about in this episode. Unfortunately, Clemson goes down to South Carolina 14-17 is your final score. We got a ton to talk about. Piss poor performances, just to be completely honest, on both sides of the ball at different points and times in the game. But we'll get in depth and we'll talk all about that stuff. But before we get into the breakdown of the game and giving you our final thoughts and our raw, unfiltered reaction, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. That would really help us out. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers here. And your help would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button. This is a live video. So while you're in the comment section, while you're in the live chat, go ahead and hit that like button for us. Chop it up in there. And as you guys know, we'll turn the show over to the comment section after me and Jordan get through our thoughts. And then last but certainly not least, we got the super chat feature available. If you like what me and Jordan do here on the channel, specifically the all-in show, the post-game show, go ahead and hit that super chat feature. And we'll be sure to read and respond to your comments. during the live episode. And with all of that said, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. Jordan, what's up, my friend?
It's going. It's going. Still trying to process kind of what I just watched. The funny thing about when we're doing our predictions earlier in the week, this was not how I thought this game was going to play out. I predicted a South Carolina win.
Right.
But man, did that just felt like you completely gave that game away in the fourth quarter. I mean, you controlled the game for 3+ quarters. You were winning the yardage battle, winning time of possession. You were getting off the field. You were forcing turnovers. And it felt like through those 3 quarters, you had an opportunity to be up more than a touchdown heading into the third, certainly heading into the fourth. I mean, and you just you didn't make the plays when you needed to make it. It falls. I put most of the blame on the offense. The defense does not get a pass for how they played. A lot of selfish play late in that game. Looking in and getting out of their gaps and over pursuing rush lanes when the Lenore Sellers is running all over you. That's inexcusable. I mean, that's QB power that they ran like a million times in that fourth quarter that Clemson didn't really have an answer for. That's not excusable either. But it comes down ultimately, I think, to the offense. I mean, before I get like too in depth into the nitty gritty, I mean, those last 3 drives were pathetic. Let's see, your first true possession in the fourth quarter, you had a 3rd and 7. You opened the fourth quarter with a 3rd and 17. You get a false start. That possession was basically dead. But your final 3 possessions went 3 plays, 8 yards, punt. 3 plays, 4 yards, punt, and then end of game. That final drive, you went 8 plays, 57 yards, and of course the interception to seal the game. That was inexcusable. Just flat out inexcusable. I'm going to try to get Tiger Paul Craven back in here. He's been having technical difficulties. See if I can get this rolling. Let me give a shout out to the comment section real quick. There's definitely a lot of you in here today. Trevor's here. Good to see you. John Sarian, our resident, or one of our resident moderators. L. Scott, Black Caucus, Alex Gaming Channel, Steel Gamble, Jay. What's happening, y'all? All right, we got TPC back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay.
But I was giving a shout out to the comment section, and I was talking about the that fourth quarter. Ultimately this loss falls on the staff first and foremost. That was pitiful in that fourth quarter. Game management, play calling, just everything, and you failed to even make South Carolina work for it in terms of just they didn't have to do anything to get stops. Like those 3 drives, by the way, I think they spanned like 4 minutes total in that fourth quarter.
Yeah,
like your final 3 drives, and most of that was that last drive. The 2 3-play drives in the fourth quarter before that were 1 minute. in
Yeah,
total.
a minute
You're up by
33.
you're up by a score, and you're trying to salt the game away. That's just
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I mean, just in the second half as a whole, right? You had 6 drives. 6 drives. One of them resulted in a touchdown. That was your first drive heading out of halftime, right? Clemson comes out, they drive the ball down the field. It looks really good. You're like, okay, maybe we made some adjustments at halftime. We're going to get the ball rolling a little bit and start finishing some drives. And then you go on to fumble 5 plays, and then you fumbled the ball, right? Then you punt the ball on 6 plays, 20 yards, 3-minute, 40-second drive. And then here's your 2 3-and-outs. One was a minute 21, one was a minute 33. And then South Carolina followed up that second 3-and-out with a touchdown, or the first 3-and-out with a field goal, the second 3-and-out with a touchdown. So not only did they force you to 3-and-outs, or you kind of forced yourself to 3-and-outs because you looked like you just couldn't be bothered to mount a drive. They came away with points on both of those 3-and-outs. And then obviously the last drive was a interception that ended the game. Obviously, we all saw that. So just this offense's inability or inconsistency when it comes to moving the ball, their inability to finish drives, the defense's inability to tackle a freaking quarterback in open space is just absolutely mind-numbing to me. I remember a play in the first half that I watched. It was when Lenore Sellers scored the first South Carolina touchdown, right, to knot it up. We go down, we score a touchdown, and what does the defense do immediately? I looked over at my wife. When they started the drive after we scored a touchdown, I was like, South Carolina's about to go score and tie it up right here, right? I just knew. I just knew it was going to happen. And Lenore Sellers obviously punches it in. And both Ashton Hampton and specifically Avian Terrell, not to call out players, but hey, if you do a play like that, I got to say something about it. It's on you. The just shoulder nudge towards him and not actually hitting him is just, man, it irritates me. It irritates me so much. It's just a lack of intensity. It's a lack of you want to win this game. And if he's going to score this touchdown, he's going to feel it when he scores this touchdown. No, instead we do this little shoulder check. He dives, he gets the touchdown, and they tie the game up. Not that play was that big in the grand scheme of things, but that just shows the lack of intensity on this defense at times when it comes to finishing plays. Because, one, you could have kept them out of the end zone. Would they have scored anyway? Probably. Or even if you didn't keep them out of the end zone, you get a shot on them. And it makes them think about the next time. And that's your job as a defender. And they didn't get it done. And time again, he breaks contain. He runs around. They got this dude out here looking like he's freaking the next coming of Michael Vick, just running all over the defense, making everybody look stupid. It pisses me off. It's piss poor tackling. It's poor discipline on defense. The offense can't finish drives. There's penalties. There's just lack of execution. Cade Klubnik in the second half, just very inaccurate at times, overthrowing open wide receivers. It just pisses me off, man. I knew there was a good possibility that Clemson loses this game, but the way in which they went out and lost this game in the fourth quarter is just, it's on the coaching staff. It's on the lack of intensity on this team, the lack of will to finish a game. This is a rivalry game. This isn't some run-of-the-mill ACC team who you went out there and had a lackluster fourth quarter and the game slipped away. This is South Carolina Clemson. This is a home game. You just dropped your second home loss of the season. So, I don't know. Maybe we need to reevaluate how hard it is to win in Death Valley, because apparently it's not that hard, at least not for Louisville, at least not for South Carolina. Shoot, South Carolina's done it every time they've come up here in the past couple years. So that's just where I'm at. It pisses me off. It's absolutely unacceptable. This team got what they deserved, and they earned a loss today, and that's exactly what they got. They don't deserve any sort of postseason consideration. Whatever bowl they make it to, they make it to. And that's just where I'm at. Do we really want to see this team backdoor their way into the ACC championship game? For what? Why? Why would we want to see that? Backdoor their way into a potential playoff? For what? So they can go out there and look like that? No, thank you.
Probably not going to happen anyway. Miami is up 14-0 on Syracuse right now. So, at least we don't, have to have any delusions about that. But man, like it just, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this was unacceptable, and it's not. Again, I thought Clemson was going to lose this game, but I did. But the way that you controlled this game for 3 quarters was, I did not expect you to be in the position you were heading into the 4th quarter. And the fact that you were and you couldn't bring it home is just, it's like the Pitt game all over again, but you didn't get the heroics at the end.
Right.
Essentially. Obviously South Carolina was much more healthy, that their starting quarterback, you weren't, it was a different situation, but just, it sucks so bad because this was such a winnable game. Mm-hmm. And some of it wasn't within your control. I mean, there were certainly, questionable officiating decisions. But at the end of the day, you had every single opportunity to win this football game. You're up 14-7. You had how many drives in between your last drive and Cade's touchdown to put you up 14-7? I'm gonna just pull it up right now. See, opening drive touchdown in the second half. You had a fumble, punt, interception to finish the game.
Yeah. Your only productive drive in the second half was the one coming right out of halftime. Yep. What are we doing? Like, what are you doing? I remember watching the offense operate in the second half, and specifically the fourth quarter. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we even trying to mount drives at this point in time? Are we just praying that the clock runs out quick enough and South Carolina can't muster more than 14 points? Because at times that seems like the game plan that we were going with. And it's just, if you think that's going to work, I have questions. I have serious questions.
Yep. And you were winning. I mean, until that last interception, you were winning. You were winning the turnover margin 3-1, and you're still down a field goal. Yeah. Like, that's you like everything that you needed to happen. Like in order to stifle South Carolina's offense, you got the timely turnovers. The defense was playing well outside of that one drive early, and you can only score 14 points when. Okay, let me see how many total yards did Clemson finish with? Can't be that as good. You had over 200 in the first half. Finished with 419. Like.
That and like, what did the defense give you in the second half? The defense gave you 2 extra possessions in the second half. 2 turnovers is what they gave you. Yep. What'd you do with them? Nothing. What'd you do immediately following both turnovers? So South Carolina's first possession of the second half, after you scored a touchdown, this is when you could have put your foot on the throttle and started putting some distance between you and South Carolina. But instead, Clemson's offense, in true Clemson fashion, goes out there and pisses away the opportunity. That's what they did. You go out there, you have a good touchdown drive, right? 11 plays, 75 yards. Now you're up 14-7. Great. South Carolina goes out there. What do? 4 plays, fumble the ball. Defense forces a turnover. What do? 5 plays, hand the ball right back to them, fumble it. So then the defense is like, okay, you know what? I'm going to force them to punt the ball. What'd you do with it? Nothing. You punt. Then they're like, defense is like, okay, I got you. I'm going to give you an interception. What'd you do with that? You punted the ball. So it's not for lack of opportunities. The offense had plenty of opportunities in that second half to put distance between them and South Carolina. They chose not to, whether it be play calling, whether it be execution, whether it be poor decision making, whether it be overthrows, it doesn't really matter why. You chose not to go out there, score more points, and put distance between you and South Carolina and put the game away when you had more than enough opportunities.
And
you
I mean, that's the reality. I mean, and honestly, like it's just been it's been the calling card of this program, for really, I mean, especially the last 2 seasons, like this team just fails to capitalize when you do have things going your way. And as far as like, and we can have a conversation about the big picture ramifications of this loss. It's a lot. There is a lot. And first of all, it falls on Dabo, and that's
100%.
This is something we've been talking about. I'm not in the conversation of, okay, well, what we need to fire Dabo or anything like that, but there is a fundamentally, broken way in which this program is being run, in which they operate, in which for how they game plan, how the staff is organized, how they recruit, NIL, which, they're hopefully maybe they'll fix. Like there is so many things that have just fallen by the wayside, with this program. And now you've gotten to the point where you've allowed your in-state rival to surpass you, at least optically. They've won. Now they've won 2 out of the last 3, both of them in your house. They're beating you for in-state recruits. And they have a lot of momentum on the trail. They do use the portal. They might have just stamped themselves as a potential playoff team with all the chaos that's happening right now. I don't know, maybe we'll see, but they certainly deserve it over you. And so now that falls on Dabo, and all of that was avoidable if you had done things differently. But I don't want to. We'll have conversations during the week. I know most of you probably aren't here to listen to me, like, or most of you aren't Clemson fans. I know 240 of you are not Clemson fans. But that's the reality. And so I should have prefaced this at the start, but credit to South Carolina, because they absolutely deserve to win that football game. No ifs, ands, or buts. They were the team that was more dialed in, especially at the end of the game when games are won and the margins are this slim. South Carolina made those plays. Lenora Sellers is incredible. I can't really say too much about that. Clemson could have done things differently, but he absolutely willed that team to victory. Like that was a special performance. That is an incredibly talented football player. Sucks you're going to have to play him again next year. But yeah, if you want this to be a show where we just, lather up South Carolina, well, that's not the show. I mean, we're going to talk about what Clemson didn't do. And so if you don't feel like we're giving South Carolina enough credit, I'm sorry. I'm not going to, this isn't a South Carolina show. We're going to talk about why Clemson lost this game. So,
absolutely.
But that being said, let's talk about Cade Klubnik, because I think there's there's probably going to be a lot of conversation. What did you think? How do you evaluate his performance in this game? Because in a lot of ways, he was the reason why you were in the position you were to potentially win the football game. And then, late in that game, there were moments where he did not execute the way he needed to, missed a throw high, or made the wrong read, I don't really. I'll have to go back and watch that final interception. I don't know what. I don't know what the original play call was. I
don't know what it was either. He threw it behind Phil Maffa. Phil Maffa got a hand on it, and that popped it up in the air, and it got just enough air for that defender to fall on it.
Yeah,
it was a bad pass. I mean, plain and simple. But Cade as a whole in the game, He didn't play a bad game. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he played this terrible game, and just because he threw the interception that ultimately sealed Clemson's fate in the game doesn't necessarily mean that the game was Cade Klubnik's fault. Now, that does not mean that Cade Klubnik went through this game flawlessly and had no flaws. He, like I mentioned, in the second half, I thought his accuracy waned a bit. In the second half, he started feeling some pressure, started doing some stuff that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And at certain points in times, right, had quite a few overthrows of, if you put a little bit more touch on it, not that your guy is definitely going to catch the ball, but he's going to have a shot to catch it. And we just didn't see enough of that down the stretch. And he tried with his legs a few times, and he was effective at points and times in the game with his legs. But you could tell that South Carolina was ready for that draw. They were sitting on that draw. They were waiting for it. They had a spy for Cade at various points and times in the game, waiting for him to do that play. And it still worked a couple times, but obviously you didn't get the type of success that you were getting before because they were looking for it. But overall, I think he played an okay game. That's really the best I got. He made a lot of good plays, and he made some very critical mistakes as well. Most glaring, the final interception that sealed the deal. We didn't even get a chance to kick a field goal and maybe go to overtime and somehow pull out an 8 overtime win like Georgia did last night against Georgia Tech, right? We didn't get that opportunity because he did the one thing that we couldn't have happen in that situation, and that is turn the ball over. And then you had the other turnover, the fumble, where he kind of tripped and ball went backwards to Maffa, was never really corralled, and they kind of overturned that call, and it's South Carolina ball. But, like I said, he played an okay game. Certainly needed him to make a better decision down the stretch, and he didn't. And it's unfortunate. It cost Clemson the game.
Yep. And I look back and honestly, that slant over the middle to Wesco, I believe this was the drive right after Khalil Barnes' interception.
Yeah.
3rd and 2. Like, I don't love passing there.
Yeah.
But it was open. Wesco got inside.
Yeah, he was open.
Inside. Yeah, he was open, and he just airmailed him.
Like
that, there was nothing but green grass. Like I think, South Carolina was. I mean, I obviously I don't have the all 22, so I couldn't see the safeties, but it looked like they were in 0 or cover 1. And
the only thing keeping Bryant Wesco from turning that into a very explosive play is if that dude gets a shoestring tackle on him. Just kind of.
And so you go from 3rd and 2 in a potential big play opportunity. You know how fast Wesco is in open space. Like that's a tough guy to catch. Like you go from that to you're punting, and then of course South Carolina goes down the field and kicks a field goal, in which you were aided by them. That I think that late hit penalty. I believe I think that was the drive that happened on. Maybe, or was that it was the delay of game when they couldn't hear. That's what it was. So like, it's like, man, you had all these opportunities, and just offensively, you have to be when you cannot continue to put your defense in those types of situations.
Nope.
Like again, we talked about how much this defense has had lapses this year and has underperformed, and so we're not excusing that at all. But at a certain point, we know what this defense is this year, and they are just a very flawed group that's going to give up plays. They have talent. It's not a talent question. I mean, one of our wasn't one of our BYOG or sales. Clemson has more ends up with more sacks than South Carolina. I believe it was. Or maybe it might have been one of the viewers actually.
Yeah, I think that was one of the viewers. I had Clemson 3+ sacks.
Yeah.
For BYOG.
Well, we got that.
We did. Didn't matter, but we got it.
and that's what sucks. You did a lot of things defensively that should have lent to a victory, but then that fourth quarter, you have to play complementary football, and the defense needs to bow up and get those stops, but you can't have 3 play drives up a touchdown in the fourth quarter, keep punting it, giving South Carolina, decent field position, and not expecting them to eventually, they have good players too. Lenore Sellers, we talked about Lenore Sellers, and, he created some plays, and that was the momentum that South Carolina needed to go and finish the game. And who knows, and I'm not even saying you need to go down and score points, but if you are, if you pick up at least like 3 or 4 first downs and use up clock, the complexion of the game is different. South Carolina calls plays differently, but they knew they didn't have to rush. They didn't have to panic. They didn't run any panic plays. Lenore's didn't force the ball. The interception he threw, I don't know what that was. Maybe, I don't know if Harbor, ran the wrong route or whatever. Great play by Khalil Barnes. But they didn't feel like they needed to rush because they were within a score and Clemson could do nothing offensively, where they didn't feel like they would have enough time. And that's really frustrating. So I don't know, man. Hey, at least special teams wasn't a disaster today. The punting was the punting was really frustrating, but
the punting was about what I expected the punting to be. Short and below average, and that's what it's been all season. That's what it was today. We do not have a weapon at punter. He cannot flip the field. It's just not a weapon, not a factor in the game.
Yep. Meanwhile, Kai Kroger is booming 58-yard punts.
He's out here booming the ball freaking 60 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Clemson's punter be lucky to get it 28 yards, much less 58 yards.
Yeah. Well, I believe this is Kai Kroger's last year of eligibility, I think. So at least he'll be.
It's Aiden Swanson's last year of eligibility, too. Thank God.
True. Yeah.
No offense, Aiden Swanson, but you got to go, brother. Have fun. Thank you for your service, but there's got to be somebody better on campus that can kick punts.
Yeah, just such a non-factor. Didn't have anything in the return game. What else is new? Great awareness. On that onside kick, and that was disappointing too because you were losing the field position battle, and Shane Beamer takes a chance after the field goal to try and steal possession. You have your players have the awareness, and they come up with it, and you go 3 and out anyway. You have the ball at like the 40-something yard line, and you go 3 and out anyway.
Clemson deserved to lose this game, and they did. So shout out to South Carolina. You did enough to get the job done. I don't think it was a particularly pretty game on either for either team. But shout out to Lenore Sellers. That dude's a baller. He's a guy that'll put it all on the line. And he did just enough to get the Gamecocks a win today. So shout out to him and South Carolina as a whole. Congratulations on the win. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say about it, honestly. With him eating Clemson up on the ground, am I surprised about it? No. Does it piss me off? Yeah. Because you have so many opportunities to get the guy on the ground. And yes, part of that is credit to him and his ability to make guys miss in the open field. But part of it is, let's just be honest, Clemson's piss poor tackling showing up again and again and again. And, of course, it shows up in the rivalry game. And then South Carolina goes to the tune of 260 yards rushing on 42 attempts, 6.4 yards a carry. No wonder you lost the game. I'm surprised you only lost 17-14 with those kind of numbers. But again, just that's been Clemson's.
And it wasn't even most of it wasn't even the traditional run game. Again, it was like those.
No.
You gave up explosive scramble after explosive scramble because guys are over pursuing. Like
scrambles and quarterback power was their entire rushing game. Scrambles and quarterback power.
You contained Rocket Sanders pretty well. I think he had 60 yards rushing, or like 3.3 yards per carry.
Yep.
Like if you had told me that would be his numbers before the game, I'd be like, I'll take that. Especially with how porous this run defense has been this year. I was like, I would have taken 60 yards on 18 carries, any day of the week, and you just. But of course, it doesn't matter because you couldn't stop the quarterback. You couldn't stop the quarterback run game, and of course, the scrambles, just getting out of contain.
And of course,
time again, and making poor tackles.
It was a fitting way for the winning touchdown to be scored.
Yep.
For him to go
3rd and 16,
drawn out 3rd and 16 scramble. Where
dude, I said before that play, I was like, he is absolutely going to scramble. I was like, he's absolutely going to scramble here. Please, God, somebody wrap up.
Somebody please tackle him. Yeah. Nope. No, couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered. Could not be bothered. I don't know what to say about it, other than it's unacceptable. It's shown up a bunch of times in Clemson's defense this year, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. But something's got to be done about it. There's a lack of intensity on this defense. There's a lack of killer instinct on this team. When you had opportunities early in that second half to put distance between you and South Carolina, to put a little pressure on their offense and start making them, maybe try to force the ball down the field. Instead of doing that, you wasted opportunities over and over and over again until finally South Carolina got just enough done in order to win the game. So with that said, you deserve to lose. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know what else to say. There's no positive spin to this game. There's zero positive to the game. And for those Clemson fans out there that want to draw some silver lining out of a game like this or this game, yeah, I ain't got nothing for you. I got nothing. There's no silver lining. There's no positive thing to hold on to, heading into the bowl game. No, there's none of that. There's none of that.
Nope.
It's a bad loss.
Very. And the
way you did it, not that South Carolina's a bad team. The way that you went out there and lost was bad.
Yeah.
Calm down, South Carolina, man. I didn't call you a bad football team. Chill out. You won. It's okay. Don't get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, just and now, we have to have a conversation. You remember Dabo during the week saying, these are the types of games that people lose their jobs over.
Yeah.
That rings it rings pretty significantly now. We'll see whether.
Like I said, I mean all of that when I say changes need to be made. When I say something's got to be done about this, I'm referring to all of those things.
Yeah.
A complete reevaluation of where your program is heading, because it's very clear to everybody watching which direction it's currently heading in. You can look at the product on the field. You can look at your 2 losses in one season at home. When's the last time that happened? You can look at your recruiting. You can look at the national conversation around your program. Fair, unfair, doesn't really matter. Look at all those things. It adds up to you trending downward So this is what you pay a $12 million coach for, right? Because they are supposed to have the answers. They are supposed to be able to fix this stuff. And is there simple, easy answers to right the ship at Clemson right now? I don't know. I don't think there are any quick, easy answers. But we also pay a guy $11.5 million a year in order to figure it out. And it's time to start figuring it out.
It's been time to start figuring it out.
Well, it's been time, but I mean, the writing's on the wall.
Second straight regular season, failing to reach 10 wins. And
it's not getting better.
No. And what's funny is, like, we came into the year like really so okay, this schedule is honestly one of the tougher ones we've had. But then you go through the year and of course you open the season, you lose to Georgia, but I mean, is what it is. App State has not been very good this year, even as we expected them to be a really good G5 opponent. They weren't. NC State, no. You play Stanford, who hasn't been any good, one of the worst teams in the conference. Florida State completely bottomed out this year. Wake Forest hasn't been particularly great. Like Virginia, like all of these teams we're talking about, like, and so now it's the three teams you've played. Well, 3 out of the 4 teams you've played that have shown any sort of life this season, you lost to.
Yeah, you lost 3 out of the 4.
Yeah,
you're 1-3.
And the Pitt win was they were certainly a shell of themselves in that game. So like it's.
And it took last-second heroics by Cade Klubnik to win that game.
Yep. You're not beating the allegations. That's what I'm saying. You're not beating the allegations, and
you're not proving people wrong.
Yep.
It makes you mad that everybody's got this stuff to say about Clemson. But when we look at you play on the field, as mad as it makes us, it all rings true. So we are where we are.
I should name the I'm so tempted to rename the stream "We Not Beating the Allegations." That's maybe I should make that the banner. "We Not Beating the Allegations."
We're not beating the allegations.
Yeah, it is sad, man.
If this was a criminal case, we'd probably be going to prison. I'm just
for life.
We'd probably get locked up.
Throw us, maybe, man. This is a felony.
We're going under
felony, bro. Yeah, we're gonna be looking like I was gonna say Young Thug, but he got off pretty easy.
Yeah, he did.
So we would have been lucky to get Young Thug situation. A little probation and house arrest. We're cooked. This might be Diddy level.
Dang, man, ain't nobody even ever seen him since he got arrested.
Yep.
No one knows.
Joking is my coping mechanism, but really, none of this is funny.
That's how you got to do it. It's not funny, but it is at the same time. Because that's the only way you get through it is to laugh about it. Because I'm certainly not going to get on here and cry like Shane Beamer did in the post-game press conference. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not crying about it. I'll complain about it. I'll be annoyed. I'll be pissed off. I'll yell about it a little bit. I'm not going to cry about it, though. Shout out Shane Beamer.
Shout out.
Crying on national television for beating Clemson.
Steel Gamble says we'd be Lil Durk right now. Yeah, that's probably the best comparison. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh man. Any other
South Carolina fans will get mad at me for making fun of Shane Beamer for crying.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. It's funny.
Any players that you want to give a shout out to? Antonio Williams had a really nice day. 8 catches, 99 yards.
Yeah.
Made some big plays. Let's see. TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco made some big plays in that first half. Some contested, we haven't seen many of those this year. I thought the offensive line honestly protected very well. Cade was not under duress in this game. You did a really good job of neutralizing Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard up the edge. They didn't get much pressure. I mean, it was
I think
the one sack they got was like an A gap. It was really good call, well timed A gap pressure from Bam Martin Scott. That was good. Shout out to Clayton White. That was
poor execution by Harris Sewell on that play. He got caught off guard. But yeah, great call. I think Clemson had a good. They had a good plan, getting the ball out of Cade Klubnik's hands quickly, right? They had that quick pass game going really well. So I thought that was a good answer for the Clemson offensive line and the plan that they initially went in with.
Yeah. And that's what makes it so frustrating that you only scored 14 points. Like you had 400.
They only had 5 different targets in the game. Receiving targets, which is pretty unique for a Clemson game this year. The receiving list has typically been, pretty long. But today it was just 5 guys: Jake Brenningstool, TJ Moore, Brian Wesco, Antonio Williams, and Phil Maffa. 2 freshmen I thought looked great. They had those big catches early. They kind of set the tone for the Clemson offense and got it going a little bit. So I thought they looked pretty good.
And now that you mentioned that, it's like, okay, well, I understand, Troy Stelato's out for the year. Obviously we didn't expect to see him in this game. But like where was Cole Turner? Was he hurt?
I never saw him on the field. So if he is, I don't know. Well, if he is, Dabo didn't say anything about it prior to the game.
I definitely didn't hear anything about him not playing.
I didn't hear the broadcast say anything about him either. So.
Yeah. So it's strange that, your supposed fastest player, your fastest receiver doesn't get a touch. And honestly, when you have gotten him the ball, good things have happened.
Yeah.
But
gone up and
what do I know?
He's consistently gotten behind defenses and made big plays. So it is interesting you didn't see him. Sammy Brown leads the team in tackles again today. So 9 total tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. So shout out to Sammy Brown. Pretty good day for him. Another 1.5 sacks from Wade Woodaz. Tackles for loss from Wade Woodaz. 1 sack from him, 1 sack from TJ Parker. So 3 sacks on the day, 6 tackles for loss. Not bad. Thought TJ Parker looked pretty good out there. He definitely affected the game.
Is that true? Whoa, hold on.
What?
Let me look this up. What John Sarian said about Gus Malzahn. Wow. Okay. Gus Malzahn is resigning as UCF head coach, and he's going to go be Mike Norvell's new OC. Wow.
Well, that's a good move for Florida State.
Yeah.
Gus Malzahn's a good OC.
Yep. Wow, that's big. Defensively, TJ Parker was all over the place.
Yeah.
They had a really tough time blocking him.
Peter Woods made his presence known there.
I mean, he had his opportunities, but man, you wish he would have gotten home and finished those sacks. He's got to
capitalize on them sacks, man.
Yeah, getting pressure wasn't the problem in this game by any means, and we felt like, with the way Clemson, had played as of late, that they would be able to get more pressure than they had this year, especially since South Carolina's offensive line has given up a ton of pressure and sacks this year.
We probably had, we probably could have had 7 or 8 sacks in this game.
And again, which makes you, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, Lenore Sellers has been really, really good at escaping pressure, but they've still given up a lot of sacks. It means you can bring him down. It's not it's a matter of want to. It's a matter of focus, good technique, and
effort.
you're just a lot of arm tackles and a lot of just kind of brushing his shoulder, and he throws you off. And
the one run that I'm thinking about when you start talking about arm tackles is, I can't remember if it was quarterback power or a scramble play, because they all just bleed together because they look the same. Where he's running down the right sideline, and I swear, dang near every player on the Clemson defense touched him with an arm tackle before he was finally brought down.
Yep.
Just mind-numbing, dude. Like screaming at the TV would somebody please just hit him with their shoulder and stop sticking arms out like he's going to just like fall to the ground and be like, oh, somebody in orange touched me. I guess it's time to fall down. Like,
he's more than allowed to break.
He proved it to me time and time again during the game that if you don't tackle me, I'm not going down. Like, there's some quarterbacks that if you touch them, like they'll fall down. Like, that's just a thing that some of them do, right? He's not one of them. He proved it to you time and time again, and yet Clemson still comes with the lazy, lackadaisical, lack of effort, lack of intensity arm tackles. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. It makes no sense.
We got a super chat from Hamp Redmond. He's certainly frustrated, as all of us are, at least all of the Clemson fans watching. He says, "I'm sick of Dabo's bullshit." Hey man, I can't blame you.
I think a lot of Clemson is with you right now. When you say you're sick of Dabo's BS, I think Clemson fans are sick of the excuses. They're sick of the same recycled answers to the same questions, right? So I think a lot of people are in your camp. Can certainly relate to that frustration right now, because I mean, it's just when you look at where Clemson was and where they are now, and then you start looking at the fall that we made from where we were to where we are right now, and then you start looking at the things that are going on in and around your program and in and around college football, you start to see, like, not only have we fallen a substantial amount as far as the level of college football program we are, right? Not only has that happened, but we could fall a whole lot further. Yep. Start looking at that 30th overall recruiting class. When's the last time you've seen one of those? I mentioned it in our episode, our all-in show this week. The last time you saw a class even in the ballpark of 30, which is where Clemson's class currently sits for 2025, was Dabo's first and second recruiting classes as head coach. That should tell you something. That means we're not trending in the right direction.
Nope.
And we could go a whole lot. We could start doing a whole lot worse than 9 wins. So it's not like we've hit rock bottom, which is the scary part.
Yep.
But I don't want to hit rock bottom. So, yeah. I think a lot of people are with you, Ham.
Yeah, then he hits another one. It's time for changes. Yeah, man. Even before this game, we were already resigned to that. We had already,
this just highlights the fact of some of the stuff that me and Jordan have already been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the changes that need to be made. This is highlighting it. This is the big old blinking sign pointing to Clemson and saying changes need to be made.
Yeah. And man, I was going to use this show to talk about, in a win, I was going to use this show to talk about Clemson's new quarterback commit. But I don't even feel like talking about recruiting right now. I'll probably do a separate video later, so y'all tune in for that. Wanted to do it when it happened, but it was kind of unfortunate. During the Thanksgiving season and all that, and we just wasn't going to be able to get that video up. But
good kid though,
probably do one.
Exciting kid.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun to talk about.
Yeah, man. But thank you, Hamp, for the $2. We greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you guys want to make sure that your comment is read, the super chat feature is the way to do it. We do always try to hit as many comments as possible, at the end of the show, but can't get to everybody, especially after a loss, when there's like 200 people in here and a lot of people commenting. So, yep. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything else that stood out to me. I mean, we can talk about I certainly did not care for the overturn on Brian Wesco's catch, or they stopped, them stopping the play dead, after the fumble. The officiating today was really.
Yeah, man. I thought it was really weird.
Really
like,
rough.
You didn't hear the whistle until the guy was making the catch.
Yeah.
Like 13 yards down the field. And then like as he's bringing the ball in, you're starting to hear the whistles.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can you whistle in that late? Like the ball's clearly already been snapped. The quarterback's already dropped back, surveyed the field, and thrown the ball to an open wide receiver.
Both teams were ready to snap, and it's not even like South Carolina wasn't ready at the snap. Like everybody was ready to play. The ball was given to the center to snap it, and then you stop the play after the ball is already out of the quarterback's hands. Like how?
Yeah, like
I don't know, man. That was.
I don't know their left and right limits there. Obviously, like as far as like how long into a play where they can blow it dead and go to the review and all that kind of stuff, but it just seemed really late. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and I remember this happened to Pitt against Virginia a few weeks ago. Same exact thing happened, where they go and I actually not the same exact thing, but officials stopping a play after the play was already been snapped. And right, Virginia, we had a fourth down. They got stuffed on that fourth down. Pitt should have had the ball, and then they blow the whistle and say we weren't ready for play. We want to, and after the play has already been snapped, and the ball was given to the center, and like I don't know, I'm not certainly. People are going to, of course, especially people that are here to, hate and trash talk are going to be like, oh, man, look at them blaming the refs. I'm not blaming the refs. I'm just the officiating was the refs. The officiating was certainly not very good in this game.
Yeah.
But it's not the reason Clemson lost. And it's not that South Carolina. I'm not saying that South Carolina didn't, have bad calls go against them. It's part of the game, and that's the reality. But that's something especially when it's procedural stuff that that they completely botch. Like that can't happen. Like I can get over an official like making a judgment, a wrong call in the moment, because it's a judgment. It's your eyes, the angle, all of that matters. But man, like when it's procedural stuff where the play is you're ready for play and you snap the ball and you decide to go to review after the play has already started and has already been ran, and TJ had caught the ball when they signaled that they were going to review it. Like that can't happen. But yeah, that's those are my only gripes. And it's not a Clemson problem. It's not an SEC problem. It's definitely a college football problem.
Like officiating, particularly this year. Not that there hasn't always been mistakes and things, but it's been glaring in several highlighted incidences, controversial calls, if you will, this season, where it's been clear that something happens and then they come out with statements to the contrary. and try to pretend like all of us as college football fans don't know what we're watching. Like we're the crazy ones. They're literally just gaslighting all of college football with some of their explanations on some of these officiating stuff that's happened throughout this entire 2024 season. And honestly, I think the only answer to it is professionalizing the refs in college football. Like those have to be like paid positions, right? Like not that they don't get paid now, but like full time, like that is your job. You are a college football official. You don't teach math Monday through Friday and then fly out to Clemson, South Carolina on Saturday and call a game, one of the biggest rivalries in the country that day. That just seems stupid. And with the amount of money that college football throws around with these TV deals and all this craziness going on, like you're telling me college football can't afford to pay refs full time? Come on now.
Yeah.
Got to do better. Got to do better, college football. It'll help everybody.
There it is. I knew someone was going to say, "Oh, they're crying about the refs." Yeah, that's
no.
It's a lot like clockwork.
I wasn't even talking about specifically the Clemson South Carolina game today. I'm talking about officiating as a whole in college football.
Yeah.
The officials had nothing to do. I repeat, the officials had nothing to do with Clemson losing this game. Don't worry, we didn't need any help. We did it all on our own. I assure you of that. Nobody here is blaming any particular call for Clemson losing this game.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for me. I don't really have too many things to say about this game. That I'm allowed to say about this game.
We got another super chat, Jordan.
Oh, we do. Let me hit that real quick. Another one from Hamp Redmond. Thank you so much for being so generous. Hits us with another $2. He says, "Y'all are over it. I agree with you 100%." Yeah, I think the entire fan base is over it. This is not acceptable. I mean, especially when you've recruited at the level that Clemson has, when you still have the roster talent that Clemson has, when again, we can talk about how Clemson has gone about talent acquisition and building their staff and all of that, and some of the decisions that Dabo has made institutionally and how this program is run. But that's still a game that's still a game you have to be able to win. And the fact that you couldn't, and the fact that you lost it in that fashion, it's disappointing. I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to go to the chat now, or?
Yeah, we can go to the chat.
Let's do it. And of course, if you guys want to make sure, like I said, if you want to make sure that your comment is read, the super chat feature is the way to do it. I'll try to hit, some. Jay says, we've been tested multiple times this year. LOL, more often than not, we failed. Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. Like I said, you're not beating the allegations. Clemson is the national narrative about Clemson this year was, man, they're beating up on all these bad teams, and when they play a team with a comparable level of athlete, they fold. Georgia,
yep,
second half, you folded. Louisville for three quarters, you folded. Most of the second half against Pitt, you folded until your quarterback, your quarterback's heroics allowed you to win that game.
Clemson had their opportunity. They could have carried their momentum into Louisville. They could have carried their momentum into South Carolina, and they'd be sitting here 11-1. They'd be in the ACC championship game. They wouldn't be worried about anything. Instead, you're not. You're 9-3, and you're going to some mid-tier bowl game because that's what you earned.
Yep.
Clemson had every opportunity.
The Pop-Tart Bowl officials were at this game, so they probably saw that game. Like, man, they're a perfect candidate.
Oh boy, we can't wait to get Clemson in here to the Pop-Tart Bowl. But no, I mean, look, it's Clemson got what they earned. They got what they deserved. It is what it is, man. They can't. You can't sit here run around crying about SEC biased and the ACC gets disrespected and Clemson gets disrespected and blah 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 blah, and then go trot out on the field and do what Clemson did in Louisville and against South Carolina. You're proving their point. So, good job, Clemson. Way to prove them right. Way to prove them right.
Dylan says Georgia Tech should have been. Yeah, that was an incredible game last night. I thought Georgia Tech, they probably should have won that game, but can't give a team like Georgia that many opportunities, especially when you're the inferior team in terms of talent. But it is what it is. Let's see.
Hamp Redmond.
Oh, another super chat from Hamp Redmond. He says, now we will win some low-rate bowl and Dabo will be blowing about it. Well, I wouldn't put the cart in front of the horse about winning it.
We're definitely going to one.
We're going to one.
I get your point, and he certainly will be if we go and win.
Wouldn't it be so funny? Well, if you lose the bowl game, and that's the sad part, you lose the bowl game and you finish with the exact same record you did last year, and you felt like you got better in some ways from last year.
Yeah,
that'd be very disappointing, but that's on the table now.
It's certainly on the table. It certainly could happen.
Let's see. SMU is all over Cal. Just looking at some of the scores. NC State trying to get to bowl eligibility up 7-6. Syracuse is battling 21-14. Good for them.
Shout out Syracuse.
Let's see. Carl Stowe 2 says how much the Pac West has bagged for him.
I don't know what his buyout would be.
I don't know. He just got a raise.
I don't know. Of course he did.
He got a raise last year, so
I don't know. I don't know what his buyout would be.
Yeah. Oh man. He's probably cooked. I'm just saying he's probably cooked, and it's felt that way for a while. Black Caucus says Tyler from Spartanburg ended up being right about literally everything last year. It's hilarious how spot on he was. At the time, I thought he was just a cynic, but oh boy. I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, there were a lot of truths to it. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
not everything he said is the way I would have put it, but
right. I think some of the ways that he went about it were probably not the best way to go about it, but he did say a lot of truth within some of the extra stuff that he added that was, his personal opinion. But a lot of stuff that he said was true. There's no easy way to put that. It's frustrating as a Clemson fan just to kind of sit back and, if you just take an evaluation and really look at Clemson, since the big playoff run and the national championships and all that stuff and truly evaluate how far we've fallen. And then how far we could fall still. That's something that I don't think we talk about very much, but it could get a whole lot worse. So I say that to say you have to start getting it turned around before you find yourself so far down that it's a struggle to climb out of it. Because right now I think you're still at a point where you could turn it around in relative short order. and get it going back in the right direction. But you let it continue to fall further, and that just gets harder and harder with each rung of the ladder that you drop, so to speak.
Yep. Let's see. JMP. This one's pretty good. Oh, I didn't even read Ticks. He said Clemson earned a trip to the toilet bowl. Yeah, pretty much. JMP says, hey, totally new plan here, guys. Keep the coaching staff we have. Go join the AAC or some other group of 5. Then we could get into the playoffs as the champ of the group of 5. We'd be a heck of a group of 5 team. We should be able to take it. We're really good at beating mediocre squads. Yeah, it's not a
bad. Is that what the whole lawsuit was about last offseason?
Yeah, the whole time we were trying to join.
The whole time we were trying to get to the
AAC.
Yeah. We thought we were trying to get to the SEC or the Big Ten. No, we were trying to get to the AAC. Okay, I got it. It makes sense now. It makes sense now. That's good. I like that, JMP. That's funny.
People are talking about Serpent Spur. Yeah, their mascot. Yeah, he pissed on the logo. So that was cool. That's
Oh
yeah. I can't even don't even have any words for that. That's
if our mascot did that, it'd be arrested because it's a human in a costume. So definitely be arrested. But
yeah, the actual live chicken. Yeah, not the guy in the costume. Yeah.
That would have made it probably funnier though if it was.
I mean, the logistics of that though, because I mean, you wouldn't want to expose your identity. Like they don't make holes in that. I don't think.
No. I don't know. Oh man, that'd be too funny though.
I know they don't. They don't for the Tiger. So I don't know. Hamp says, gentlemen, I meant to say the 10 wins is what Dabo would be mouthing about. Yeah. If you were to go 10-3, he would be like, oh, that's 10 win. You know, how many wins? 10 win seasons in the last 13 years, whatever. What? You might do the math. 13 in the last 14. Yeah, 10 years, you'd have 10 wins if you won the ball game. Yeah, he'd be all over that.
Yeah. Well, his new one that he goes to is the 9-win.
Oh yeah, of course. Now it's not, but you know he's already hit that benchmark. So if we hit 10, he'll be like he'll definitely have that stat ready to go.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Hamp. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. He's been loading us up today. Yeah, this is $5 this time. Thank you, man. David says, yeah, how do we have the only coach who doesn't use the portal? Pathetic. Yeah. I don't see a way you don't this year, but again, I've been surprised before, and I thought last season you were going to. So
yeah, we talked about it last season, and it didn't happen. So
Katusa 93 says he should have just kicked the field goal. Yeah, I mean, and points were certainly at a premium in this game, and that certainly would have changed the complete. And really, my issue is not necessarily the fourth, going for it on fourth down. It's the fact that your power back is as good as he is clearly laboring and not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And what was Jay Haynes' stats in this game? Because he had. Every time he got the ball, he got like 8 yards. It felt like probably the 2 times he got the ball, he probably got like 8 yards. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know what his stats were.
He had two carries for 11 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. I mean, would have been nice to have a back that could win on the edge instead of running a toss sweep to your.
I don't know why they keep running ball sweeps to Phil Maffa. That's not his game. I mean, it makes no sense to do that.
Especially since he's not he's shying away from contact.
You do have another power back. You got Hammerhead back there. Throw him in the game and be like, Hammerhead, check it out, bro. You have to go get this first down.
Good point.
By any means necessary, go get this first down.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted somebody that was going to be tough to, that could get you some extra yards. I mean,
you get this first
Keith
down,
Adams Jr. can do that.
just look at Hammerhead and be like, look, if you get this first down, you get to stay in the rest of the series.
Yeah,
we won't pull you out. Now go get the first down.
Oh,
I mean, you do got other backs back there that can take some load off of Maffa if he's that banged up, which he went to the sideline a couple times today. I know they keep trying to convince us that Maffa's fine, but he's not fine. He's not fine. He's just not.
Yeah. The shoulder is clearly not healthy. He's shying away from contact. He's not running as hard.
He ain't running people over anymore. All them highlights from the beginning of the season where he's just trucking everybody in sight. That's not happening anymore. And it's not because he can't. It's because he's hurt.
Steel Gamble says at least Ryan Day fell on his face against Michigan again to help take the spotlight of embarrassment off of Clemson. Yeah,
Did they lose?
Yeah, they did. They did. 13-10, I believe.
Dang. Man, I know. Look, and I don't feel bad for them at all because I hate Ohio State. But I know them fans are pissed off, man.
Yep.
They got a $20 million roster, and I know they are ready to.
I mean, if we were in, honestly, if we were in Ohio State's position and lost this game, that.
I mean, it's not good. We did not look good at all, but that's not.
Yeah. At least we can point to the reason. Like we can point to obvious reasons why this program has taken it. Especially with how just average Michigan has been this year. That's at least South Carolina has been, was good. It was a good football team, and might make the playoff. Michigan, they lost to Minnesota, and they okay. But that's pretty crazy, man. Tiger Fan 24 says, "Man, y'all still in here being pitiful weirdos." I mean, I don't know what you want us to come on here and.
I don't really think we're being pitiful. We're just
like
it like it is.
We're calling it like it is.
There's no use in sugarcoating it.
Right.
The worst thing we can do is run around as Clemson fans and pretend like everything's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to lose to South Carolina. It's not okay to lose to Louisville. It's not okay not to be in a 12-team playoff. None of it's okay. So I, for one, ain't going to sit here and pretend like it is okay. Like somehow it's acceptable for Clemson to not be in the 12-team playoff. It's not acceptable. I'm not gonna pretend like it is. So
I don't know what you want to come here and say.
Every fan's different. Everybody goes about it a different way. This is just how we go about it.
Yeah, it's like you want us to come on here and say rah rah. Everything. Everything is great, guys, and we're here to talk about why Clemson. We talked about why Clemson lost this game. What this game means for the program, because it's this is going to have ramifications, severe ramifications, because it's not just Clemson lost a football game. It's the overarching trend that this program is perceived to have taken a downturn, and you couple that with losing to your in-state rival, who has a lot of momentum right now. Not just on the field, but on the recruiting trail, as I mentioned earlier. Say goodbye to Donovan Murphy. I'm gonna just say that right now. I mean, that was probably done regardless of the result, but this didn't help. Say goodbye to a lot of the other kids you're going after, Jalen McGill, and it's in the next class. Like, you're not. Good luck beating South Carolina on an in-state kid. This coming cycle. I'm gonna just say that right now. Because now you've given Shane Beamer not just one win over Clemson to sell, but two, both of them in your house. And if South Carolina makes the playoff and you don't, it's not good. It's not good.
I mean, in a vacuum, yeah, it's one game. But when you look at the totality of what's going on in Clemson's program and what has been going on for the past 4 to 5 years and the downward trend that we're on, and then you look over at recruiting and suddenly we're ranked 30th in high school recruiting, you can't just sit here and be like, well, it was just one game. They made some plays and, we lost a football game. It's bigger than that, man. It's bigger than that. There's a lot more going on in Clemson than just slipping up and losing to South Carolina or losing a hard-fought rock fight to South Carolina. If it was just that, then it'd be what it was. It would suck. You lost to your rival. They came up and got you. We flush it and move on. But
yep. I mean, and listen, we're not saying it's the end of the world. The world is going to keep spinning, and Clemson is going to lose more games in the future. Like, it's not the fact that you lost the game; it's we're here to talk about why this program has gotten to the point where it's at, and that's how that's how we're always going to do it. Like, I don't know, like, we're not going to just be here, just ultra positivity all the time, and things are perfect. Like, we're here to tell you guys what we think about the direction of the program, what we think about this team, what we think about everything regarding Clemson football. That's what we're here to do. So but didn't mean to make that as a long spiel. Let me get some more recent comments, because y'all have been great tonight. Of course, if you guys are still here, please hit that like button. Even if you're not a Clemson fan, it's nice to get that kind of engagement. And you guys have been awesome. Even the non-Clemson fans, because we like having you guys here. So. Let's see. Michael W. He says, for the last couple of years, the Gamecocks have low-key been dog-walking Clemson when it comes to in-state recruiting. That's going to continue. Yeah, I mean, people can bury their head in the sands if they want to about that, but that's the truth. I mean,
true.
Saw somebody mention Amari Adams. It's like, that's one example, but I can name multiple. And they've done a better job of emphasizing in-state recruiting, and you've missed out on kids. Like, it's the reality. And now even the kids that you do want, a lot of them are leaning South Carolina, especially in this I'm not even talking about the 2025 class. I'm talking about 2026 and beyond. It's not trending in the direction that you want it to. And I'm going to let Dabo do what he feels like needs to be done, because ultimately that's all we can do.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens from there. Oh, I see you posted that's what I forgot to do. Of course, if you guys want to call in, the link is also in the chat. We'll take a couple if you guys want to. You don't have to have your camera on or anything. You can if you want, but you don't. But you can just talk as well. Data Racer, he says, K Klubnik is trash, Garrett Riley is trash, Phil Moff is trash, everyone is trash, over it. Man, I'm not even gonna argue with you, because it's frustrating. I get it. Just everything about this team, how this team performed when in the really important moments this year. Yeah, it wasn't good.
I know he's mad. I feel you, Dana. I feel you.
I definitely feel him.
It's frustrating.
Brantley stating the obvious: y'all will not make the playoffs this year.
Thanks.
That's news to me, man.
It's probably a good thing.
I wasn't even convinced Clemson would have made them. I mean, probably at this point, like if Clemson had won this football game with all the chaos
They
that's
probably would
happened,
have won, or they probably would have got a spot in the playoffs.
yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely not going to the playoffs. Definitely not. Zero chance. Well, I guess there's still technically a chance until the Miami-Syracuse game is over.
Yeah. Brent Hobbs says Jay Haynes looked good and moving at a whole nother level versus Mappa, but one mistake and we didn't see him again. Yeah. What was it? Did he flinch? Was it him that flinched on a false start? What was it? I don't know. Because what mistake did he? Was it in pass? It wasn't in pass pro.
He did something. I can't remember what it was. Might have been a false start. I don't know what it was, but it was something. And then he got trotted right back off to the sideline.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, it was a false start.
Trevor Porter mentioned Syracuse just tied it up. Cool. Isaac Smith at South Carolina has always been better at in-state recruiting than us. We've been better nationally. You see, this is okay. This is the well, Isaac, you're a loyal listener, but like this is my problem is that it's not. Yeah, South Carolina has always gone at emphasized in-state recruiting more than Clemson. That's always been the case. They kind of have to, just because they don't, they don't have the brand that Clemson does, and the pull that Clemson does nationally. And that's kind of been the case for a long time, but especially within the last, 10 plus years. That my problem is not South Carolina getting more kids than you. It's the fact from in-state like that. I understand why Clemson recruits. They go into Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, the Carolinas. Like I get all of that. My problem is the kids that you do want in-state are still picking South Carolina or leaning South Carolina. That is not normal. Especially like I said, especially within the last 10 years, when Clemson has wanted a kid from the state, South Carolina's won their battles, but they've got butt heads like on the trail, plenty of times. But when you've wanted a kid in state, a lot of times you were able to get them. I mean, you think of the Xavier Thomases of the world, the KJ Henrys, the DeMonte Caparts, the Antonio Williams, like the Mike Williams. I think we're losing the plot a little bit. I'm not saying that Clemson needs to go all in on in-state recruiting and start cleaning up the state, but they do need to be able to land the kids that they do want in-state. And also, South Carolina is getting to the point where, with what they've invested as far as their NIL and the chest that they have to invest in recruiting in the portal, they're getting, high-level players nationally too. And that this is how they've closed the gap as a program. I mean, Shane Beamer is a phenomenal recruiter, but they also got their NIL in order because it was a mess at the start when it first started. But they were ahead of Clemson when it came to getting those funds together, of course, and having a plan in place and catering to their specific deficits as a university and institutionally, and they were able to get that in order. And that's how they get a kid like Nick Harbor or Dylan Stewart. Like they're great recruiters, but they're also willing to pay what you haven't been willing to pay. And so now you couple that with, Shane Beamer has, he's certainly upgraded his coaching staff. He's built a lot of continuity. There's a good culture over there. I'm not trying to make this a South Carolina, love fest, but they've closed the gap because they've been willing to do things that you haven't been willing to do. And that used to be the opposite. And that's the sad part, is you used to be at the forefront of a lot of things. Within as far as investment into football, and it's flipped, and you've allowed them to catch up to you, not just from on the field, but also from a financial resources standpoint. And that's kind of, that's how you get this result. Shane Beamer, and he's done a phenomenal job. So. Let's see. We'll see what changes. With the revenue sharing and Clemson restructuring how they do NIL. Between IPTAY and IPTAY and the 110 Society and how they go about doing that thing. We'll see what changes they make. They make and how that ultimately impacts how Clemson goes about it. But you got to start playing the game, not just from an NIL standpoint. More than you have. Clemson, I'm not saying Clemson doesn't, do NIL, but they certainly have not done it to the level that other programs have. And you need to use the portal. I'm tired of belaboring that point, and I don't think it's the main reason, but you got to start playing the game.
It's a tool.
Start playing the game that everybody else is playing.
It's a tool,
and you have to be able to do it in the way that still fits your values and how you want your program to look. Like, I'm not saying you have to sacrifice your morals or your all your principles to do it. You don't, but you have to start playing the game. And I think institutionally they realize that. We'll see what but it's ultimately up to Dabo.
100%. He's the guy pulling the levers. He's the guy making the calls. But, you do like some of the changes and, some of the stuff you heard out of Clemson earlier in the week about the rev sharing and promoting 110 Society a little bit better, giving people the same points they would get for donating to IPTAY. They would get those same points for donating to the 110 Society, which was not the case before, but it is now. So hearing some good pivots come out of them. But again, we'll see how it goes and how the money is used. Should there be an uptick in the NIL funds? So,
yeah,
again, that's all up in the air. But I agree with everything you said.
Yep. And John, it says Clemson is changing rev share public pleas for 110 Society. Only uncertainty is how much Dabo uses it to acquire as well as retain, and that is the ultimate difference, John, and that's where Clemson has been lacking and why they have the 30th ranked recruiting class. Like, if you can't be a program that's about recruiting high school talent and building through the high school ranks, but then not be building through the high school ranks. I mean, you have, like, how many kids do you have in this class committed right now? 12, 13?
Yeah, 13.
It's not good. I mean, it's not good enough, man. Like, you did not expect to have. Yeah, Clemson doesn't take large classes anyway, but this was not the number they wanted. This is not what they were shooting for, and especially with the fact that you're hemorrhaging the top guys in your class. Four of the six, like I said, 4 of the 6 players that have decommitted from Clemson this cycle were top 100 kids. That makes a huge difference in your recruiting ranking, and it's not just about the recruiting rankings and all of that, but they are a very good indicator of who's acquiring the best talent. Yeah, on an individual player basis, it doesn't matter as much, but as a collective, it does paint a picture of who is doing the best in acquiring talent. And right now, the one thing that Clemson has used to hang its hat on, they're not doing anymore. They're not doing well anymore, and that's a death knell when you're not investing into recruiting the portal.
Yeah.
So
we got 14 commits now with
that's right, 14 with
the quarterback.
Yeah. Good point.
Chris Denson.
Yep.
So
the Plant City kid, who I like. He has a lot of raw ability. I'll talk like I said. I'll do a video later in the week, kind of talking about him and what he could bring to the offense. But
yeah,
see, let's do a few more. Yeah, still Gimbel says Cade is top 15 in most quarterback stat categories. Why are people blaming him? LOL. Yeah, I mean, Cade was not perfect today, but he gave you he made a lot of plays for you. And I think the reality is a lot of times this year I think he's been sold short by his staff, and sometimes his teammates. Like and again, I'm not deflecting blame from Cade. I think he certainly made a lot of mistakes today.
Yeah.
And he missed throws that you absolutely have to make. I already mentioned the one over the middle to Wesco. That's going for a big gain. If he just, it's a simple it's a slant. Like you practice that day after day after day. Like that's a fundamental rudimentary play that every single offense should be able to execute at a high level. And he had a couple of those throws where he just left it high or he threw it behind the receiver, and that's just. That's a problem. You can't. You're a 5-star quarterback. Like we would be expecting this from a 3-star quarterback.
Yeah, he played an okay game. He wasn't perfect. Made some critical errors. Made some good plays as well. That's just what he was today.
You should have been able to win this game, despite all of that. That's the disappointing thing. Isaac says, we'll have no choice but to address the portal after this recruiting class. We usually don't have many spots to add kids from the portal. Well, we'll see. We'll see this year.
It'll be interesting to see how everybody addresses rosters as this year unfolds, right? Because you got rosters where they are right now, 85 scholarship plus how many ever walk-ons that you have, right? But then, you got to go to the 105 in July, right? So how do you get there, right? Athletic departments are going to have to be creative.
Yep. Let's see. John Doe says, look at Cade's numbers against ranked teams. He's like DJ doesn't know how to win the ones that count. I wouldn't say he's like DJ. DJ certainly never threw for 3,000 yards in the season or 30 touchdowns, over 30 touchdowns. Like
I think he's a much better quarterback than DJ, but I do get your point that he does tend to struggle some in the bigger games.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I understand.
I think that the sentiment is valid. The comparison is not. I don't. They're different players. And I don't think this offense would be as effective this year with DJ at quarterback. I don't think that's a hot take either. Like I think
really the thing that people are trying to say is Cade is not that big time game changing quarterback, right? And we just don't have that right now. I don't think that person's on the roster.
Nope.
Just my opinion. I don't think they're on the roster. And those guys are. It's hard to get those guys. It's even harder in today's college football to get them. So.
All right. Let's do a few more then get on out of here because
some of these screen names in here are wild, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm not putting them.
What is going on with some of you? Y'all need to. Oh Lord.
People are creative. I mean, they're probably. I don't know.
I guess.
Creative
is one way to put it. Good Lord. Oh, y'all need Jesus. That's what y'all need.
Let's see. Dion says, yeah, West Coast slant was going to the house. I mean, yeah, there was nothing but green grass ahead of him. If you just hit him in stride, it's a simple play you run.
At a minimum, we were converting a 3rd and 2, right? Yeah. At a minimum.
Yeah. It's
so
like
whether it would have been a touchdown or not, it would have definitely got the first down, and it certainly would have probably, turned into an explosive play.
Yeah. And that game certainly looks a lot different.
He was getting 15 yards out of that at least.
Yeah. JMP says Cade overthrows high a lot on open passes. Yeah, it's on the quick throws over the middle. He just gets out of his mechanics. it's something that it has been really frustrating. Is when he gets out of his mechanics, he always tends to leave the ball too high or way too low.
Yeah, pretty wide open across the middle.
Yeah,
but
he steps up. Yeah, and he just I don't even know how like Brady's sitting in this, like he's right there. Like you don't have to do that much to it. I get he felt pressure, but that's still a throw you have to make. So yes. I mean, yeah, Cade is not without his blame in this game, but I think the people that are throwing all the credit, like I think Cade Klubnik is a quarterback you can win with, and
100%, he's a good quarterback. Cade is a good quarterback,
and I think that you definitely need things to to go well around him. You got to have good protection.
100%. Yes,
it'd be nice if you can run the football.
I don't think Cade is ever going to develop into the guy that just goes out there and takes over a game and it's like you're game changing. Like,
yeah, he's not doing what Lenore Sellers did.
Yeah, he's not going to do what Lenore Sellers did. He's not going to do what Cam Ward does. He's not going to be that just give Cade the ball and let him cook, right? Like he's not that guy. But he is a good quarterback that you can absolutely win a lot of football games with.
Yeah. And you should have been more than Cade. Like
he's more than capable of winning football.
Yeah. You should have won. You could have won this game with Cade's performance today. You could have won this game.
Yes.
John mentions when Clemson did the 5 goals, had we won the championship. He doesn't even mention them anymore. I mean, he does, but obviously you're not meeting those goals. I mean, you lost the opener. You lost the opener. You lost the state.
You didn't get to the conference championship.
Yeah, not going to a conference championship.
Really, the only goal you can get to now is win the closer.
Win the closer. Yeah, win your bowl game.
Win your bowl game.
No, you're not winning any championship, in ACC or otherwise. So, Data Racer asks, why is there never a guy open space across the middle? Like, why is no one ever running open? Every other good team does. Well, I mean, there are sometimes, but I think some of the. I'll have to go back and watch this game, but just one thing that has been consistent with this offense is, I mean, the quick game is very much always outside the hashes, and they did a good job, especially early in this game, at getting the ball out quick and forcing South Carolina's DBs to make tackles. They were struggling to account for Antonio Williams. He was finding soft spots in the zone. He was getting run yards after catch. Like, it was a good plan. You had a good plan together, but going in. But it's like when things are going well, especially when things are going well, it's when you decide to start doing weird stuff, like the reverse when where Cade slipped, that you ultimately fumble on, the one that both Cade and Phil Moffitt slipped. It's just frustrating when you're doing things that are working and they're not overly complicated, but it's the plays that you've practiced and you execute on a day one install stuff, the core parts of your offense that are working, and you go away from them for no reason. I just,
what?
I mean, you saw South Carolina when they found something that worked. They kept doing it. That quarterback power, they ran it over and over and over again until Clemson stopped.
Legitimately, not even joking. They called quarterback power to the right side 4 times in a row, the same exact play, and it worked every time.
Yep.
Like
almost no variation in formation. Like it was always a motion to the opposite side. Like
they straight up went high school football and was like, "Hey, run this play."
Yeah.
Hey, same play.
And I think that's probably something that Shane Beamer learned from Steve Spurrier, because that's something that Steve Spurrier did a lot as a play caller. He would run a play a gazillion times if they weren't stopped.
If you can't stop it, why should I stop calling the play?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just common sense. If you show the inability to stop a play, I'm just going to keep calling it until you stop it. I don't know why you wouldn't.
All right.
Everybody giving us updates on the Syracuse game saying that they tied it up 28-all.
Wouldn't it be so funny?
Miami over here playing around, bro. What are y'all doing? Man, they're gonna make me go watch this game.
Yeah, I know, dude. Imagine we have to come on next week and talk about Clemson in the ACC championship against Mississippi.
Watch it happen,
dude.
And guess what? I know everybody I know some people on here are gonna be like, "Oh, y'all gonna change your tune if you're in the ACC championship game." No, I'm not. I'm not.
We're
everything I said today, I mean it.
Nothing changes about Clemson if Miami loses today.
It means that Miami's a bunch of idiots and they couldn't get the job done. That's all it means. Doesn't mean Clemson earned a spot in the ACC championship game. Yeah. It's literally the.
I'm gonna hope they win it, but man, like
absolutely. Yeah, of course. If they're in the ACC championship game, I hope Clemson wins it. Do they deserve to be in the ACC championship game? No. But if Miami wants to gift us one, I'm not going to not take it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's man, what a season! It's so I really don't know just what to make of this year in general, because in so many ways, like in a lot of ways you got better, but in so many ways you got worse, and
I don't know what to think of this team right now.
Yeah. I mean, this team is like you know what I said. You know what I said in the preview show. I was like, yeah, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Like, I believe them. They've shown us who they are. But the sad part is that despite that, there were a lot of things that we saw this year that showed the potential that this group had, and I truly feel like Dabo thought this team would be better. I think he felt in his like, and not just Dabo being a front facing, like, oh man, I think we have a really good roster, a level roster. I genuinely think that he believed that this team was good enough to make some noise.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he genuinely believed.
I thought they might be. But
I'm sure he genuinely believed that they were going to go out there and beat Louisville.
Yeah.
He probably genuinely believed that they were going to go out there and beat South Carolina today. But they're just not that team. They're just not. Like, when they have stuff on the line and when it's a team with comparable talent and ability, and they don't get the job done. They just don't. They've proven it at almost every turn this year, outside of a Pitt game, and we all know what happened there. We talked about that game long enough.
Isaac Smith says, the light schedule fooled everyone. To be honest, we're not much better from last year, unfortunately. I mean,
we're different. We're different. But we might not be better. That might like I said, like, I feel like I need to, like,
the offense got better, but then the defense took such a massive step back. It almost counteracted a lot of what the good that you did offensively this year.
I feel like I need to, like, step back and, like, really evaluate everything that's happened this season. And then, like, answer that question a little bit better. But, like, that's a very distinct possibility, right? Like, we're not actually any better. We're just different.
Yeah.
We're completely different than last year's team. But are we better? Record would say no. Record would say no.
Yeah, who's to say? Yeah, it's, and again, we're having these talks like immediately after, right after the game.
Right. It's hard to have proper perspective on.
Yeah, I might wake up tomorrow and feel differently, but it just things have. it's just so many things that still have plagued you. From last season. They're different, but it comes down to the same fundamental issues from a program philosophy, roster building, standpoint. It just looked different this year. And I credit, it was absolutely massive that you were able to land 2 5-star receivers, because the difference in the offense. But this feels like such a waste, man. And that's I think that's the thing that sucks the most as a fan, is when you looked at this roster, especially, I mean, offensively and on both sides, like, this could have been a really, really good team. I mean, you returned so much talent on the offensive line. You had Cade Klubnik take a step. As much as you want to say about Cade Klubnik and some of his deficiencies, the jump he took from last season to this year, I'm not going to argue with anybody. That is apparent. He's a much better football player this year than he was last year. And you brought back so much experience in the wide receiver room, and you add 2 extremely talented receivers, and you bring back your tight end, and you bring back your almost 1,000-yard back from last season. And then defensively, all this talent on the defensive line. You have a preseason All-American at linebacker. You're young in the secondary, but a lot of really, really talented pieces. And you bring back your veteran safety. Like, this team had the makings, and they had the build to be so much better than 9-3, and so much better than how they looked in those 3 losses. And that's ultimately the thing that is really going to, just, it's going to sting for a long time about this group, because I still believe that this roster is really talented, and especially your starting 22. They could have been really, really good. And I think so much from, a coaching staff standpoint, and a roster building standpoint, and a personnel usage standpoint, you'll never really know whether or not this team could have been, better. And that's what sucks. But
Yep. You put it perfectly.
All right. Any other parting shots? We're almost about to hit 2 hours.
Man. We're approaching 2-hour mark. I got nothing left. We got 103 people in here in the live chat right now. Please hit that like button before you guys head out. Appreciate all of you guys stopping by, coming to laugh in our misery, or just come hang out with us, or talk trash, whatever the case may be. Shout out to all the South Carolina fans, the South Carolina team. Congrats on the win. Hope you guys will consider subscribing. Me and Jordan do a live show every single week called The All In Show every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Come hang out with us. Consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so your help with that would be greatly appreciated. That's all I got, Jordan.
Yep, that's it for me too. Yeah, please hit that like button. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. The engagement and the support, it was awesome on the show. Of course, it tends to be when you lose. That it's just, and when you're a program like Clemson, people are going to want to bathe in your misery. But hey, we appreciate it all the same. Even the hate watchers, we love you too. And please, if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe if you're a new fan, whether you're a Clemson fan or not, you're new to the channel. We do these after every Clemson football game, and we go live every Wednesday night on the All In Show at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So
year-round, guys, year-round. So even after the season, we will be right here. It is year-round. Shout out to Hamp Redmond for all his generous super chats tonight. Appreciate you supporting the show, my friend. And with all of that said, we will see you guys Wednesday at 8 p.m. To talk about Clemson football, college football, and see what has happened between now and then in this crazy world of college football. But until then, y'all have a good night, and go Tigers.
Later, y'all.